Well, hey guys, I believe the sun just set, but took me and one other person just under an hour to make this tarp shelter. Long overdue shelter vid from MiWilderness. But we're out here morel hunting, and real quick, easy shelter, tarp shelter. Show you how I set it up. We're still getting wood, and this side is just a big fallen down pine bough with some of the overnight firewood, and that pine bough is gonna block the fire to keep it stealthy, and it's also going to help block the wind and keep the heat in. Just a cheap old, I believe this is a 10 by 12 tarp, one of the cheapies. I like, you know, it's green on one side, brown on the other. All I did for this shelter is I just run it across to 2 small maple saplings with a small piece of paracord that I keep in my pack. Now I've just got that tied with a bow, the same way you tie your shoelaces. So it's going into this eye, it's coming over here, and it's going into this eye, and that's probably about 5 foot off the ground. Now these are nice and springy, so they keep tension on this all the time, even when the wind's blowing. Come down here. Now to keep the back tight, I just took old dead pine branch and ran it all the way down the back of the shelter. And in case you're wondering, everything for this shelter fits inside this little bitty, basically a kid's school backpack, along with all my other survival gear and mushroom hunting gear. Now I just got this stick back here held in place on each side with another dead stick that's just angled to keep it from pulling forward. Temporarily held the front in place with another dead stick in the front eye, which you can't see buried under there. Both sides, that's just temporary until we get our bedding down. Now on the front here, I don't want to melt my tarp, so what I did is I took some of these white, wet pine needles and placed them over the front, you know, 6 inches to 1 foot of the tarp. That way if sparks fly, it's not going to melt the tarp. Cleared out the area in front of the shelter where the fire is going to go, and I built a heat reflector out of punky dead wet pine logs. These won't burn. If anything, they'll just smoke. A couple other dead maple sticks running down at an angle, so it's angled like this towards the shelter, and a couple more to support those because they're pretty flimsy, but it's solid as a rock now. That'll reflect heat into the shelter. Now the reason I put this down here is because that's going to keep the moisture you know, from soaking up into my body. And then I got a bedroll which I'm going to put down there. But that's pretty much it. Did another pine bough on this side to help block a little of the wind and just kind of break up the image of the fire to make it a little stealthier. Got kindling here to start a fire. We got a bunch of small maple branches here that we can bust up through the night at arm's reach from inside the shelter so that we don't have to get up. And the same thing over here. And we're probably going to end up with about 3 to 4 times this amount of wood. Not that we're going to need it, but we've got it just in case. And I don't really think I left anything out. But it's a really easy shelter. All it required was a cheap $10 to $20, I believe that's a 10 by 12 tarp. The size really doesn't matter. And 2 3-foot sections of paracord and a bunch of pieces of dead wood. Didn't need a knife, didn't need anything, just a tarp and 2 pieces of paracord. But that's it. This is, we're gonna spend the night in northern Michigan while we're up here hunting black morels. So I guess I'll wrap it up. Try to keep these videos short, you know, and show as much as possible. Let Let me give you a view of the back side of the shelter and from an angle. A couple other things I want to mention about this too. I mean, there's the shelter. It's a pretty steep angle, and it's not going to do a great deal to block the rain, but what I have is this is south. So in the morning, I'm going to get the sun's rays beating in on the shelter, and also the prevailing wind runs east to west, and what that'll do with the fire reflector in place and the shelter in place, it'll funnel that wind through here, and it'll keep that smoke from swirling around and coming in on us while we're sleeping and choking us out. That's a pretty important aspect of a shelter building, at least in my opinion. And I gotta be honest with you, I think this is the first time I've built a tarp shelter in my entire life. Probably the first time I've camped in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe. But, you know, it's like riding a bicycle. You know, it just takes a little bit of thinking. And me and my friend, we figured it out, and just wanted to share it and say, like I always do, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the comments and support.